At the beginning of the school year, a student asked me, "Why are we talking about science in Sunday school?" That's because I've heard students ask, "Doesn't science disprove the Bible?" This confusion isn't surprising. If you read the Bible, it says God created everything in 6 days. Many science books and popular scientists say millions of years. And there are people who think you go to school to learn real stuff and you go to church to learn church stuff. Well, that has to do with our two worldviews. There is a God and there is no God. Under the worldview of there is a God, God is in charge. He determines what is good and evil, and in his eyes, all human life has value. With the worldview of there is no God, sinful man is in charge, and he determines how to behave and treat others however he wants. In the end, the lives of others have no value. Okay, so what does this have to do with today's topic, the nature of science? In our public school systems, in our science books and magazines, in our museums, in our movies and television shows, in the books that we read for fun, in all of this, one worldview keeps showing up over and over. And it's the worldview of there is no God. Anytime you see millions of years, billions of years, cavemen, Neanderthal, we evolved from this evolved from that, the closest relative to a chicken is a T-Rex. All of this are theories from scientists trying to explain how everything got here without a creator. Under the worldview of there is no God, everything in the universe is a freak accident. From way back when nothing exploded for no apparent reason. These theories may seem convincing to a lot of people because, 1, a scientist said it, and 2, scientists should know what they're talking about, right? There's one problem though. Science is not a wand of technology that you wave and suddenly God is gone. Science is a tool that helps us explore the world in which we live, but it has limitations. All of our science activities fall into 2 categories. If you're new to this conversation, or you're a 5th grader who has completely forgotten about what you've watched, the link to this video is provided in the description box. I encourage you to watch the video now, and then come back when you're finished. If there's a problem with the link in the description box, what you're looking for is a video on YouTube. All you have to do to find it is type in the search box, "Check this out, the nature of science." You should see a preview image that looks something like the DVD cover on the right. If you lose your spot in my video, just fast forward until you see this image. Okay, if you're back, I'm assuming that you have stopped and watched the video, or you remember what the 2 kinds of science are, and you're ready to go on to the review questions. What are the 2 categories or the 2 kinds of science? The 2 kinds of science are observational science and historical science. Briefly think about, or discuss with others, what we do with observational science. Observational science is hands-on. We can observe, we can experiment, we can test, and we can repeat those tests over and over until we can draw conclusions and establish facts. Observational science is used every day to create new medicines, find cures for diseases, build space shuttles, build faster and better computers, and many more amazing and cutting-edge technologies. Briefly think about, or discuss with others, what we do with historical science. Historical science is the study of evidence left from past events, such as ancient civilizations, fossils, and dinosaur bones. How is historical science different from observational science? Since historical science is the study of the past, we cannot observe, test, and repeat those tests to draw conclusions like we can in the present with observational science. With historical science, we have evidence to consider, but what else is needed to have all the facts? In order to have a complete picture in historical science, we require an eyewitness or some kind of historical document. What two words must describe any historical documents we use if they are to be of any help? Any historical documents we use must be accurate and trustworthy. If there are no eyewitness accounts or historical documents available, what do you think a scientist will use to fill in the missing information? If no other information is available, a scientist will use their imagination, educated guesses, and theories based on their observations. Their worldview will have an influence on their decisions. Now that we know more about observational science and historical science, we should be able to make more informed decisions as we see, hear, and read about things. For example, did dinosaurs actually exist? Yes, we study their bones using observational science. Did they look like this picture? That would require an eyewitness. Did they roam the earth over 65 million years ago? We have no way to test that for certain, and before you say we have a way to test the age of rocks, we have another video and another discussion about the limitations of historical science. Until then, let me revisit the question that started all of this. Does science disprove the Bible? The answer to this question is no. Many archaeologists using both observational science and historical science have discovered that the Bible is accurate and trustworthy when it comes to people groups, locations, and events in world history. In fact, observational science has provided a lot of evidence against the worldview that there is no God. Here are just a few examples from observational science that confirm the worldview of there is a God of the Bible. Observational science has proven that all life forms only come from other life forms, not from rocks, as the theory of evolution suggests. Our fully developed immune systems. If the theory of evolution is true, many life forms would be dead because of the slow trial and error process. Our DNA acts like a code or language. Language only comes from an intelligence, in this case, God. The information in our DNA requires an enzyme to read it, but the instructions to build the enzyme is in the DNA. So which came first? This coding and language system did not evolve slowly over time. This is one of my favorites. Galaxies should not exist, but they do. Our observational science of gravity creates many problems for evolutionary scientists and their theories. Our sun is shrinking, and our moon is moving farther away from the Earth. If we reverse time millions of years, the sun is so big it would burn up the Earth, and the moon and the earth would be sitting on top of each other. Another favorite of mine is altruism. This is the behavior of when an animal or a human endangers themselves or even sacrifices themselves to save the life of another. According to the theories of evolution, this type of behavior should not exist by now, but it still does. Metamorphosis is another evidence against evolution. Many insects cannot reproduce until they've gone through their full life cycle. This type of system could not evolve slowly over time. It only takes about 80 or 90 years to make a fossil, not millions of years. The fossil record we have today is evidence that there was a worldwide flood. The truth of male and female is found throughout nature. Reproduction is necessary for humans, animals, and plant life to survive. The theory of evolution cannot explain how these amazingly complex and yet radically different systems came into being, or how they've survived with slight changes over time. The existence of male and female systems is evidence against evolution. Let me wrap up this conversation with an observational science fact. It's called the illusion of truth. This is when you repeat something over and over until people begin to believe it, even if it's a lie. The worldview of there is no God has been repeated over and over, so it's no surprise that people believe it. The next time you hear someone say science disproves the Bible, or they're asking if science disproves the Bible, I hope you will remember the differences between observational science and historical science and take some time to share what you've learned today.